Hey, RezaieStrong follower, Salim Rezaie here, and I've recently started reading a book called Do Hard Things. And in one of the chapters, the author talks about confidence and self-worth that really resonated with me, and I thought I would share some of the ideas from that book. So, first of all, let me set the foundation that I don't care who you are, everyone struggles with confidence. We all have that imposter syndrome. We have those negative voices in our head. We have all that self-doubt. So that's everyone. Now, it may not be regarding every single thing that comes up in life, but we've all been there and everyone knows what I'm talking about. The problem has been that the focus on confidence and self-worth has been on external, not internal confidence and self-worth. So think of this like seeing somebody's pictures on their social media versus the everyday mundane things that they have to do. So you're just seeing their kind of highlight reel on social media, but the reality is we all got to cook, we all got to eat, we all got to take showers, we all got to do our laundry. I mean, we all have to do the same basic things for human need. And so the focus has really been on showing off as opposed to working on the substance of what you have on the inside. And so what does this actually look like? So external confidence and self-worth is basically others telling you how great you are. It's based on others' judgment, which is actually out of your control. And it's that kind of foundation of everybody gets a prize, no matter what place you finish in, no matter how mediocre you are. And they all just create this false sense of confidence and self-worth that ultimately crumble when you get pushed. On the flip side of that, you have all kind of met people who fall under this banner of arrogance. And they are typically the people that are loud and boisterous. And the thought process is that by being arrogant and brash, that you're showing confidence and self-worth, but the two are not the same. As a matter of fact, most of these people have internal self-doubt, and that's why they're so arrogant and brash. So now that we've kind of set the stage for that, let's talk about the 4 steps to developing inner confidence and self-worth. So the first step is you want to lower the bar and raise the floor. So what do I mean by this? So let's say that you are running a mile and you're training and you run 5 times. And you know what your worst performance is in terms of time, and you know what your best performance is. And what I see people often doing is trying to beat the bar, right? But the reality is that the number of times that you're going to be able to do that once you've kind of hit your max is going to get less and less, and then you start getting kind of not motivated and not interested. And so a better way to do this is to take your 5 times and average them together and try and beat that. So that's lowering the bar and raising the floor. Forget about perfection and embrace who you are. So I struggled with perfection, still do to this day, because I would procrastinate and I wouldn't start things or I wouldn't do things. I always had excuses because it wasn't perfect. And the reality is that it's never going to be perfect. Perfect is an ideal we strive for, but something that we'll never achieve. And so we need to learn to embrace our weaknesses. And this gives us capacity to deal with vulnerability and pain, to get feedback from others, and to start working and learning from our mistakes. For those who don't embrace weakness, for those people who criticize you, it gives power to their voice to bother you. And once you embrace the weakness and you take that as a challenge, you begin working on your weaknesses, and pretty soon those weaknesses are no longer weaknesses. The third thing is, and there's no secret to this, is there's no shortcuts. You got to do the work. You got to put in the work for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve to build that internal self-confidence and self-worth. And you got to know you're going to make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. You learn from those mistakes. And I forget where I read this, but some of the most powerful lessons we have in life are from mistakes that we've made. It's not from being successful all the time. And so once you understand that process, you actually start to get motivated as you start adding layers to your confidence. And so you got to put in the work for whatever it is that you're working on. And then the last thing is put the ego to the side. And this is one that I struggled with for a very long time. And this is just simply having self-awareness. This is knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are, being receptive to feedback, and not getting defensive and shutting down. It's taking that input and modifying whatever it is that you're doing kind of in a feedback loop so that you can continue to improve as a person. For those people who lack self-awareness, which I was one of them, you don't really assess what your strengths and weaknesses are. And so when people give you feedback, you get defensive and you shut down, as opposed to being receptive to the feedback and continuing to work on it. And the last part of this I'll say is that sometimes short-term loss is part of long-term gain. You got to take one step back to take 3 steps forward. It's not always going to be a straight line forward. And that's okay. That's life. That's a lot of things. So the 4 steps to build inner confidence and self-worth is 1, lower the bar and raise the floor. So don't try and outperform your best performance. Take the average of your last 5 and try and do better than the average. You're going to be more successful more oftentimes than not. The second thing is forget about perfection. Embrace who you are. Know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and just know that nothing's ever going to be perfect. Just start. And just simply by starting, it's motivation and will drive you to continue to move forward. 3, I hate to tell y'all, no shortcuts. You got to do the work. It's from doing the work that you learn from mistakes and successes. And there's unfortunately nothing magical that will get you through that other than putting in the time and the effort. And number 4 is put your ego to the side. Be receptive to feedback and look at it as a means to becoming a better person, to get rid of weaknesses that you have, as opposed to getting defensive and shutting down about your weaknesses and remaining stagnant in life. So there you go. Confidence and self-worth. Our focus, at least in today's day and age of social media, has been on external confidence and self-worth as opposed to internal confidence and self-worth. I hope this resonated with a lot of you, and I hope there were some lessons here that you can incorporate into building your own confidence and self-worth. Thank you guys, as always, for following along and tuning in. I appreciate all the support. Let me know your thoughts, comments, and questions, and until next time.